One day, Yen Si saw a very auspicious planetary alignment. Curious, he sought news only to discover that the Venerable Lao Tzu had decided to leave his position at the Royal Archives and renounce the world. Yen Si hurried toward the mountains searching for the wise master, afraid that his wisdom would be lost forever. His quest was finally over when he caught up with Lao Tzu near the Hankou Pass. Yen Si humbly approached Lao Tzu and said, "Revered sir, you are such a wise man and these are such troubled times. Could you write just a few words to help man understand the nature of things?" Lao Tzu was so moved by this plea that he immediately sat down on the prayer rug that Yen Si provided for him. Then with the stroke of his brush and a handful of bamboo sticks, the spiritual masterpiece referred to as the Tao Te Ching came to be. This book of 5,000 words contains powerful insights into the nature of all things in the universe. The Tao is considered by many the most powerful teaching the world has known. Please join us for the Tao of Self-Acceptance. Welcome to Aspire. How grateful we are that you chose to be with us as we continue in our series on From the Heart of the Tao. We're going to be working on, in this particular program, the Tao of Self-Acceptance. We are learning more and more every day how important it is for us to accept ourselves just the way we truly are, not the way people have invented us. Let me read to you number 19 in the Living Tao on self-acceptance. It says, "Give up sainthood, renounce wisdom, and it will be 100 times better for everyone. It is more important to see the simplicity, to realize one's true nature, to cast off selfishness and temper desire." Lao Tzu tells us that self-acceptance comes when we see the simplicity in life, when we realize our true nature. It sounds easy enough, but most of us find it very difficult to do. Rather than acceptance, we want change. We can't accept ourselves as we are, and yet so much of the way we live is built on acceptance. We don't question whether the sun will come up in the morning. We accept that the waves will wash in and out with the changing tide. We no longer wonder if the moon really does orbit the earth, and we know that children will grow up eventually. With acceptance comes a certain ease and effort. Imagine if we refuse to accept the law of gravity. We question what our true nature is because we cannot touch or see it. Yet we firmly believe all matter is made up of atoms, invisible atoms. And though we have never touched them, we accept that other galaxies exist beyond our own. The point is, acceptance is easy. We do it all the time. We accept laws in nature, and we accept laws imposed by society. If you leave work at 5, you accept rush hour traffic. Our day is regulated by someone else's schedule.
Because I was short on the bill. Second reason was, the only thing I could find in my pocket at the time was this $2 bill. Now, most people don't carry $2 bills in their pocket today as a general rule. And where and why and how I got this one in mind, I'll never figure out. But I asked her
So
if
we
I
are
could pay
constantly
the bill.
faced with
She said no.
acceptance, even when things aren't what they seem. So much of what seems to be true is really illusion. If we rely on appearance, we might be wrong, and that rule applies to ourselves also. Rather than accept our true nature, we believe the illusion. We identify ourselves by how we dress or what we do, by our nationality, or by the skills we have, how we look, or where we live. To realize our true nature, we must drop the illusion. Acceptance is knowing the I am before we add on the qualifier. I am a man or woman, black or white. I am rich or poor. In a moment, we'll find out how to get past the illusion to self-acceptance. Humankind is nothing more than the opportunity for the divine to enter into us, to enter through us. But we don't really look at ourselves as being the vessel, the vehicle for that. Somehow within us, we are constantly being told by religion, by people, maybe even by politics, maybe sometimes even by science, that there's something wrong with us and that we need improvement. I know people who are deeply bent on the idea of nothing more than constant improvement of themselves. And they think that in self-improvement, in the form of changing their appearance or maybe changing their tastes in music or literature, food or clothing, that somehow they're bettering themselves, and it's just simply not the case. I think everybody's kind of bent in this country on the idea of self-improvement, but I think self-discovery is more important. To discover ourselves for who and what we really are, without the idea that we need any kind of improvement whatsoever. Maybe what we need more than anything else is self-acceptance. To accept ourselves exactly for the person that we are, the one that we are temporarily right now, and the one that we will always be. You see, to me, the truest mystery of ourselves, of life, is the mystery of finding that part of us that is never ending. It is, so to speak, the eternal part of us. Most people don't think they have an eternal side. I'm not talking about the side that religion talks about, the soul of us that supposedly after we leave this physical body goes to some place called heaven. That's not the one I mean. I think, in fact, I sense within all of us, within myself, a part of us that never dies. It's a part of us that is eternal. Sadly enough, it's not allowed to come out very much in us. We're too busy trying to improve ourselves rather than to be ourselves. So the eternal side to us never really is allowed to come through. But when the moment occurs when we can allow the eternal side of us to come out, and I'll give you some ways in which you can do that, the idea of self-improvement becomes one of the silliest ideas that one could conjure up. There is nothing to improve. There is nowhere to go but to be yourself. Enlightenment is simply being ourselves. There's nothing more to it. The most beautiful moment of your life, the most enlightening moment of your life, is when you are simply you. When you are not concerned with what other people think of you, when you are not concerned about what the world thinks of you, when you are only allowing yourself to be who you are, the image and the likeness of the depth of yourself. That is something that many people never give themselves permission to do. And yet, I tell you, it is the Tao of life. In this particular Tao, Lao Tzu says, give up sainthood. It'll be easier on all of us. He's right. What he's really trying to say is, don't try to be perfect. Don't try to act your life out. Don't try to be self-improved. Give up self-improvement. Go for self-acceptance. What a wonderful teaching that is. Do you realize that a great deal of our life is an act? We just act out our life. You go to a party or you're with friends and maybe you're not feeling right in yourself, and so what do? We act out the role that we are happy. I've seen many people in metaphysics try to act out the idea that they're positive. Well, all of that may be good at a certain stage, but you know something? After a while, you start to lose yourself. You start to wonder, who is the actor, who is the actee, so to speak? Who is the one doing the acting and who is the one that's doing the living? It's a real problem. You could lose yourself in that kind of philosophy. The Tao brings us back to ourselves. Don't be so bent on self-improvement. When you are worried about what other people think of you, you have lost the most significant thing in life, the opportunity for you to have yourself in living, just to be simple again, and to go back to that simplicity and find yourself just as you are. not for the way other people want you. It takes a great deal of courage to live that way, doesn't it? But that's what self-acceptance is all about. It's the courage to be selfless. You know, in this country, selfishness seems to be a problem. When people hear the Tao or they're working with these teachings, they often say to me, "Your work, it sounds so selfish, so I-centered." Well, let me explain something to you about that. It is a little selfish, but not in the way many people think. Selfish, if you look it up in Webster's dictionary, simply means the grandizement of a person's individual ego, personality, seeking survival or security. That's selfishness. The kind of self-centeredness that I am talking about is being aware of the person that you are. I don't teach you to be selfish, to withhold, to only think of yourself in the form of your personal gain and grandizement. That's not the teaching at all, but the teaching is something unique. It's saying, see yourself, understand yourself, become basically selfless. Selflessness is a different quality. We're going to touch on that in another program, but let me give you a little preamble on it. When you're not so concerned about your gain and loss, when you're not concerned about what other people think of you, when the only thing that you're focusing on inside of yourself is your harmony with other people, that's when you've become selfless. And in that selflessness comes self-acceptance. When I was a little child, and I was growing up in a metaphysical church, we used to sing songs about the idea of accepting ourselves as a child of God. I never really understood it. I sang the song like all the other children did, and I wanted to believe that I was a child of God. Doesn't make a lot of sense when you're an adult. You're striving to survive, you're striving for security, you're striving to be good in your job, and just doesn't really blend in that the idea that you are a child of God. But you know something? When you cut away all of the things that we try to do to improve ourselves, when you cut away the idea that we don't have to be better in other people's eyes, that we don't have to be perfect, that we can have a human self that is oftentimes making mistakes and flawed, when we are letting go of the superfluous life that we tend to live and we get down to the core living of ourselves, we begin to see that that statement is true, that we are a child of the infinite, of God, of the Tao. The Tao is nothing more than the method of understanding how we work within ourselves, the method of our heart. It is allowing us to go to that very, very special place inside where we are not concerned about what others think. We are only focusing on who we are. The greatest discovery you will ever make in your life, the greatest single discovery, will be who you are. Beyond your ego, beyond your vanity, beyond your sex, your personality. Self-acceptance. You can't do it with your mind. You can't sit there and go, I'm going to accept myself, I'm going to accept myself. It just won't work. You have to look inside of yourself. You have to have the compassion to see your mistakes, the heart to see your troubles, the ability to laugh and have a sense of humor about the things that you've done wrong in the past or have been self-destructive. The ability to look at those things and not to punish yourself, not to berate yourself, but to have a sense of humor about it. There is one thing that is lacking in all Christianity that I see in this Western culture of ours, and that is a good, healthy sense of humor about the mistakes that we have made. Self-acceptance is the ability you have to look at your faults and shortcomings and laugh. Not laugh in a way that is sarcastic, ridiculing, but to laugh and say, as the Master said, what's that to thee? Follow thou me. Very important words. So keep this in mind as we delve into the Tao even further. That if you have not come to accept yourself, you'll never find self-acceptance up here or in what other people are thinking or thinking about you. Self-acceptance comes not in your thoughts, not in your deeds, not in your sainthood or your sinful nature, because all of that is nothing more than baloney. The truest part of us is accepting ourselves as a person, as a human being, as a spiritual being, allowing the human to magnify and be the vehicle for the spiritual. When this happens, we have come to the heart of the Tao. We begin to see ourselves as real live people. Namaste. Let's take a moment now and accept the self in all of us. Let's look at some how-tos of self-acceptance, and please understand, I'm going to give you some radical teachings on this. Some of you may not be able to do this at this point. That's fine. Some of you may. Also, maybe you will want to take just one of the ideas and work with them. That's up to you, but I would like you just to listen to what I have to say on it. First of all, self-acceptance depends upon you being your true self. Instead of acting your life out, to be appropriate. And what I'm saying by appropriate is when we are trying to manipulate other people. It's just another word for saying, I am trying to make you think this about me rather than let you see who I really am. Spend some time with yourself, not acting out your life, where you're not trying to act out being appropriate with certain people or situations. But learn to get inside of yourself and possibly explore in your own self and in your own life how you genuinely feel. You see, there is a part to you and to me that is authentic and real. But we don't necessarily tend to play with that very much or even see it because we are so busy acting out our life. I know that there are many people, maybe you are one of them, who are beginning to find out that we've never been authentic. You know what you love when you see somebody that you care about or that you find fascinating? You love them because, or you like them because they are authentic. They're not trying to please you. They're not trying to be appropriate with you. They've accepted themselves, and in essence they've said, this is what I am. If you don't like it, it's too bad because you miss the beauty of me. If you like it, that's nice too. But I'm not trying to be what I am to make you like me. We have to admire those kinds of people, especially in our world, where it seems more important for us to act out. Image for us is so very important. And we have to look a certain way, think a certain way, talk a certain way. Drop all of that. Spend some time being authentic and real. Number 2, don't try to save the world. You know, I'm always amazed at man's inhumanity with man. And in many ways, I've tried to change it, and I found out something. You can do some little things, but you can't do big things, no matter how you try. There will always be wars and rumors of wars, as the Master said. I think it's more important for you to find the humanity within yourself and within me. Don't try to change other people. Try deeply to be genuine with yourself. And if you are genuine with yourself, you will be able to change whatever is around you that is in your power to change. And those things that you can't change, you won't waste your time trying to change it. I've spent my life as a teacher/minister trying to help people, and I have found this in my work. You can't help people unless they want it, unless they are willing to be genuine, authentic, and to accept themselves. And here's another key. A lot of the hell, pain, and torture that people go through in this life is necessary. God isn't doing it to them. The Tao isn't doing it to them. They are doing it to themselves. Self-acceptance is the ability to see my consequences upon myself and my life and what I am doing, and then to ask myself, do I need any more of this? Have I had enough of me? Have I had enough of my own fear? Have I had enough of my own rigidity? Have I had enough of my own polarity where I am polarizing myself from life? And if I've had enough, and I've had enough suffering, then I'll have a sense of humor, and I can almost laugh it off and say, I don't need to do that anymore. One of the most beautiful moments in my life has been when I've caught myself doing something terribly self-destructive, and I've gone, wait a minute, I don't need to do that anymore. I remember what that was like, and I remember where that took me. It's a kind of a sense of humor you have to develop, a wit about yourself to understand that I haven't got time for the pain anymore, as the old song goes. Self-acceptance. It is the ability just to look at ourselves and not be worried about what is appropriate, what is not appropriate. It's not worrying about what others think of us. It's finding out genuinely who we are. I think you'll be very happy if you find out who you really are. I have found this in the small segments of my own being that have kind of come alive through this teaching. That what I am is far greater than anything I ever tried to be or imagined myself to be. It's not greater than other people. It's the same as all people. It's a harmonizing effect. I am finding that the most beautiful thing in life is not trying to separate myself from others, but to harmonize myself in love. And that's the key to the Tao, to harmonize in love. I hope you enjoyed this particular edition of Aspires. We looked at self-acceptance, the Tao of Self-Acceptance. Here we are in one of the busiest parts of Chinatown, and if you look at people, we all dress the same, we all act the same, we all think the same, we all look alike, we all want to be alike. And yet there's an individuality in every single one of us that we tend to ignore, so much so that we forget who we really are. Self-acceptance is not trying to be better than other people. It's being yourself, just the way you are, without the need to be special, without the need to be different, just to be you. And if differences occur in being you, then so be it. You know, it's important for us to take a hard look at ourselves and to see whether or not we're just following the crowds or we're really being who we are. I think one of the deepest blessings of life is the ability to be who we are in spite of what everybody else thinks we are or thinks we should be. Self-acceptance. To love yourself just as you are, with all of the frails, with all of the faults, with all of the misgivings, with all of the doubts. No one said you had to be perfect, but the one thing that is important is to be genuine. And if you can be genuine with yourself and those around you, you have achieved the Tao of acceptance, self-acceptance. You know, just a little personal philosophy on this. I don't think anybody has to be perfect. I don't think anyone is born perfect or imperfect. I just think that this life and this world gives us the opportunity to experiment with ourselves, to play with ourselves, to laugh, and sometimes even to cry. Enjoy your life, and you will more by accepting yourself. Thanks for being with us, and namaste to you.